I'm Lisa Kay, Public Information Officer with Rutherford County. I have with me Mayor Joe Carr and Solid Waste Director Bishop Wagner. You may have heard some talk about a transfer station. Stay with us the next few minutes and we're going to delve deeper into that topic. Mayor Carr, let me start with you. This topic, solid waste disposal, was so important to you. It was a campaign promise, correct?
It was a campaign promise. Absolutely. It was a promise I made among a couple of others. But because of the nature of this particular issue in our community, it was so urgent that we talked about it for quite some time. And I'm glad to know that we're making great progress.
So, Bishop, let me go to you. I started out saying transfer station, didn't give a definition, and the term has been thrown around like everybody knows what it is. Can you briefly tell us what is a transfer station and why do we need it?
Absolutely, Lisa. A transfer station is an enclosed location similar to a warehouse-style building where a solid waste is taken by truck and placed into large over-the-road vehicles to be taken to an end-of-life location.
Okay, and so why would we need this as a county?
So it does a couple things for us as a county. One is it allows us to have a little bit more control over where and how we collect the materials that we get. We're also able to negotiate our end-of-life location with others. It reduces truck traffic, and there's also a financial component that's connected.
If I could add to that just a minute, everything that Bishop said is absolutely correct. But one of the things that we're struggling with in our community is we've got a current landfill that is over 30 years old that imports a great deal of waste from outside the county, and I'm sure we'll get into that a little bit later. But the point is Rutherford County needs to have control over its solid waste stream. Because of our agreement with Republic Services, we don't have control, nor are we able to quantify that. So before we can undertake how much we want to divert from a landfill, or regardless of where that landfill is, we need to quantify what it is that we have. And a transfer station gives us that ability. It gives us the ability to have everything taken to a central location, quantify what it is, and then we can move forward with different diversionary ideas like composting, recycling, and these kind of things. So everything Bishop said is absolutely correct, but it gives Rutherford County control, which they don't have right now.
Okay, that's an excellent segue to my next question, though. Why can't we just contract somebody else to do it? Why do we have to actually construct the transfer station and do all of this?
Well, contracting with third parties is an option. However, it's a rather expensive option. And there's also the fact that Rutherford County solid waste employees provide, in my opinion, and the opinion of many citizens, the highest level of service that's possible for the citizens in the county.
Exactly correct. And so, again, it goes back to there are certain parts of this that Rutherford County wants to control. And quite honestly, Lisa Kay, Rutherford County needs to control certain very important aspects to this. What a lot of people don't know is that Rutherford County is statutorily, that is legally required by state law, to dispose or be responsible for what's called the MSW, or municipal solid waste, that is produced within this county. And so that is our statutory or legal obligation. It's not the legal obligation of the cities of Murfreesboro, Smyrna, Laverne, and Eagleville. It's Rutherford County's. And so we have to be very, very careful how we offload that statutory obligation to a third party that doesn't have our interest as a primary concern.
Bishop, correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't one of the communities have trouble contracting something with a third party? Didn't they stop even providing services? So
there have been some news in Davidson County with some of the areas around the Antioch community in recent news where the ability for the third party contractors to be able to collect those materials, they were leaving garbage on the side of the road for up to 3 weeks when they were under contract for weekly pickup. The factors that are that caused this are some of the similar things that we deal with in county government, but the reality is that we're able to adapt a lot more effectively because we're publicly operated, where the private companies, they have restrictions that we don't have.
And like Mayor Carr said, we would have control over the.
Exactly. Now, that's not to say that during this process once the transfer station is complete and it's operational, I think it's our vision that the transfer station will be operated by Rutherford County, but we will contract then with private haulers and a private entity for a final destination, wherever that destination would be, whether it's recycling, composting, or landfilling. That we would have to have third-party partnerships in place to do those things, because we're not going to do everything from cradle to grave. But we have to get some control over our waste stream, so then we have control over what's ultimately done with that waste stream.
So I have a question regarding Middle Point Landfill. Why are we even doing this now?
Well, of course, over the past few years, Middle Point Republic Services has been in the news quite a bit for a number of significant issues as a result of their management and, in some cases, mismanagement of the Middle Point Landfill and Walter Hill. It's an 800-acre facility that has been accepting waste from outside the county for 30 years. 70% of the waste stream that is deposited into Middle Point Landfill comes from outside Rutherford County. And so effectively, Rutherford County is the trash can for Middle Tennessee, because as many as 34 different counties deposit their trash into Middle Point at Walter Hill community. So first of all, Walter Hill has borne the brunt. That community, the Las Casas community, the Leanna community, the northern part of Murfreesboro have borne the brunt of a poorly crafted agreement from 1995, where Rutherford County entered into what's called a host benefit agreement with Republic Services, at that time called BFI, which gave BFI Republic Services the exclusive rights, with no oversight from Rutherford County, to deposit as much waste as they wanted, from wherever they wanted, whenever they wanted, and whatever quantities they wanted. And so now we have a landfill that's bringing in 4,500 tons of trash a day or more, and fully 70% of that trash doesn't even originate inside Rutherford County. And so there is what I call landfill fatigue. We're just tired. And we have every right to be tired, fatigued, because we have carried the load for Middle Tennessee to be the largest landfill in the state. And so with some of the mismanagement, with some of the violations, with some of the serious environmental issues, it's just time that Rutherford County get control of that facility, and in particular, the waste that comes into Middle Tennessee, in particular, Walter Hill. And so what we're doing, we're moving forward. There is a situation that Bishop, and he can explain this in just a second if he likes, but there's a situation that we have where we believe, and other professionals agree, that Middle Point will fill up in the next 2.5 years. If it does, that's going to become a crisis. And literally, the transfer station is trying to get hold of that crisis in advance so it doesn't become a crisis. And so that's the urgency here. And when I campaigned on this, I said, while this wasn't probably the most important issue in our community, it was the most urgent issue. And I have to congratulate the County Commission and Bishop Wagner for helping me resolve this issue. And I think the transfer station is a very big first step in resolving that issue.
Thank you, Mayor. I would like to say first, the deal that was made 30 years ago that the commissioners signed, they had no idea that the landfill was going to gain as much material as it has today. The initial intent was for us to have a landfill here in Rutherford County that would last for our solid waste needs as we grew for many, many years. Unfortunately, that's not what happened in the relationship with this private company who had intentions on making money from the surrounding counties. So, the idea that we have to have a transfer station does a couple things. One, it definitely gives us the ability to move when that landfill does eventually get filled up, and it will eventually get filled up. Our estimates are between 24 and 36 months, maybe even sooner than that, depending upon how rapidly the Republic Services decides to fill their landfill. They have active contracts that they have to fulfill, and they're predicated on the use of this landfill. The transfer station allows us to have a location for us to be able to collect our material. It also has an opportunity for us to be able to potentially in the future generate revenue that help fund the solid waste department. And those are two very key things that we need to really take into account, considering that the host benefit agreement that Mayor spoke of was set based on a rate 30 years ago and has not been adjusted for inflation or the needs of the public and solid waste needs today.
I will say this. I've read a lot in my background as a CEO for a large engineering company, for a CEO of a large materials handling company, and as a TDEC assistant commissioner. I've read a number of multi-million-dollar contracts. This is without a question the most one-sided contract that I've ever seen, and and Bishop is correct. You know, back in '95, the county commission didn't understand this was where we would end up. They didn't understand that, and I agree and accept that. The town, the community, the county that we now call home is an entirely different community than it was 30 plus years ago. But we have to adapt. The county has to adapt to the fact that we have the largest Class 1 landfill in the state of Tennessee. And what Republic is trying to do is they're trying to expand that landfill. And so what we're saying as a community is, no, we're done. The landfill will close at the appropriate time, and Rutherford County will deal with its waste, and then Davidson County and the surrounding counties can be responsible for their waste. We just won't be a destination point for it.
I'm going to ask a question that's probably going through the minds of a lot of people who are watching this right now. Will it help with the smell?
The short answer, Lisa, is absolutely. For two reasons. One is a transfer station is completely enclosed, and it's cleaned out every day as per requirement by state permit. All of the material is also hauled off and taken to an end-of-life facility. So there's not waste that is piled up, that is exposed to the atmosphere, that is able to do its digestion process to release methane or any of the other smells and odors that we commonly hear and get complaints from that are associated with the landfill.
So this will stop the expansion of Trash Mountain, correct?
Absolutely. Well, Trash Mountain, the Middle Point landfill, whatever you want to call it, is controlled by the airspace. In other words, they can only grow vertically so much by TDEC ordinance and regulation, rule and regulation. So they can only go so high. Once they've gone as high as they can go in altitude, now they need to expand their footprint, right? So they need to grow horizontally. Well, they're constrained by the land that they own and the type of geography that land is, of whether or not it's acceptable or not. And so, which leads us to the point, that's why Middle Point Republic Services has sought the land between Middle Point landfill and the Rutherford County landfills that are adjacent. There's literally a valley between those two landfills that Republic Services would like to purchase from Rutherford County in an effort to expand the life or extend the life of the Middle Point landfill. If they were able to purchase that valley from Rutherford County, it would extend the life of Middle Point landfill another 30 to 50 years. Yes. And you may, I know, Bishop, you've looked at that as well, but I think I've described that accurately, haven't I?
I agree. I think that's exactly the case. And the citizens of Rutherford County and the commission have spoken. They are not interested in an expansion of that landfill. There is enough waste that's located in Walter Hill, and it's time for us to think about taking waste elsewhere.
Very good point. I think it was approximately 3 or 4 years ago. I don't remember the exact time frame. No, it was a little longer than that. It was probably 5 years ago. The county commission voted 21-0, not to expand that landfill. And I concur with that sentiment, and that Rutherford County will not be a part of any expansion of the Middle Point landfill.
Thank you, Mayor. So can you share the steps that the Public Works Committee is taking to
You want me to do that? You want to do that?
Sure, certainly. I think that you could do that.
Well, first of all, let me just say the county commission, and in particular the Public Works Committee, have been phenomenal partners in helping lead us to this point. I know that we have spent an extensive amount of time taking trips, talking about it, looking at RFPs and RFQs and requests for RFIs and all these different things. But over the summer, in early fall, we were presented with a set of facts that heretofore I don't think we had, and that based on the observation and information, 3 different professionals gave us the analysis that the landfill was probably going to be at capacity in 2 to 3 years, 2.5 years. That required a sense of urgency on my part, which then I went straight to Public Works, thanks to Chairman Cush. He saw and exactly what I was speaking to, in that we needed to move with all due haste. The first thing we needed to do is we needed to relieve ourselves of the potential crisis that would occur if the landfill were to close. What would Rutherford County then do with its waste stream? And so immediately we thought we need a transfer station, because that gives us, number one, a collection point, a destination point for all the trash within Rutherford County, so that then we can quantify it. So then we can determine, what are we going to do with that solid waste? Do we compost it? Do we recycle it? Do we send it to another landfill? And all of those diversions from our landfill have a place in our ultimate solution. But so what we undertook was we did what's called an RFQ, which is a request for qualification. And that process netted us 3 engineering firms, and recently Public Works Committee, along with Bishop and myself, were able to select an engineering company to begin a negotiation with the mayor's office for a design, engineering, and consultation for a transfer station.
So can you give us like an approximate time where we're talking about to complete the transfer station?
So the RFQ that was released had a timeline of 24 months from inception till completion. I'd like to add as well to the mayor's statement that it is not typical for government of any type to move as efficiently as it has on this issue. I want to really kind of give thanks to all of the members of the commission, to the mayor's office, to everyone that's been involved in assisting us with, as we've identified and we're going forward with looking for this solution. And another thing that the mayor mentioned that is very important to this is that it's important for the citizens of Rutherford County to understand that the transfer station is but one step in a waste management process.
That's exactly right.
We are aggressive on looking for ways to maximize our ability to divert. When we're talking about collecting waste and taking it to an end-of-life facility, there is a cost that's associated with that. And the way to offset that cost is to maximize the amount of material that we can divert. It's also the best thing to do for our environment. Because we've been in the experience that we've had here with our relationship with Middle Point Landfill, we are very cognizant of the fact that the amount of waste that we'll send off will end up going to another location, end-of-life facility. We want to be the best stewards that we can about that material as well. By reducing the amount that we have to send to landfill, that's going to maximize our ability to maintain good relationships with the surrounding counties.
And let me add on that, if I might. Again, the transfer station is nothing more than the first big step. Okay, we know we need to divert from landfill. We know we need to be more environmentally responsible and conscious. And to that point, the city of Murfreesboro has engaged Rutherford County, and we are so pleased that Mayor McFarland and his staff have reached out to us because, as your viewers probably know, they have been pursuing what's a waste-to-waste solution out of an engineering company out of McMinnville, where it turns MSW, municipal solid waste, into energy pellets. And so they are very interested in partnering with us, and we are having discussions with them about how our transfer station, located potentially out on Butler Drive as opposed to Landfill Road in Walter Hill, how our transfer station could be a feeding point for their waste-to-waste solution, which would be great if we can put this together. And we're in serious negotiation to do that, because now you have the county and the city working together, not only to get manage that solid waste stream, but divert that waste stream ultimately out of a landfill, wherever that landfill may be. So we're real excited to work with Mayor McFarland and his staff in pursuit of that as an ultimate solution for all of our waste.
We've shared a lot of information, and I just want us to emphasize the economic impact to the county. Could you speak to that?
Sure. The economic impact, I guess, directly to the taxpayer would be minimal or de minimis at this point. Now, that's not to say going forward it won't be, but what the vision that Bishop and I have on this transfer station is that we have a statutory obligation of about 100,000 tons a year currently. But our goal is to engineer and construct an transfer station that will handle approximately 150,000 tons a year, because there are a number of independent haulers in Rutherford County who also need a destination, who are paying tipping fees at Middle Point. And so what we would do is hopefully we can make an arrangement for these independent haulers to come to our transfer station, and then it would help defer a lot of the cost associated with the transfer station. And hopefully there will be, our goal is there will be no tax burden on Rutherford County citizens if we can construct this correctly. And I believe there are some opportunities for us to do that. We're pursuing some federal grants. We're pursuing a pro forma economic model that would allow the transfer station to produce an income stream. And we would do all this without changing the current distribution model. In other words, we have 14 convenience centers across the county. That would still be a destination point for our different citizens within the county. So we would maintain those convenience centers. Those convenience centers then would take that MSW or that trash, instead of taking it to Middle Point, they would take it to our transfer station. So we believe the economics are very favorable at this time for us to proceed.
Would it also provide any jobs for people in the county?
Absolutely. I could see that there'd be some job creation within for the operation of the transfer station itself, and potentially for collection options as we go forward.
Mayor Carr referenced the term tipping fee. Can you explain what does that mean?
Yes, Lisa. A tipping fee is an industry term for what happens when waste is brought to the facility, whether it's a landfill or whether it's a transfer station. It's the cost that is accrued with that type of operation.
The layman's version of this. I love this guy. He's a technical guy, which is why he's so good in his position. And let me just say this. Rutherford County is absolutely blessed to have him in solid waste leadership. I mean, we truly are. But essentially, the way a landfill operator makes money is they sell their land and the airspace in that land to deposit trash. So when you drive up with a load of trash, they weigh your vehicle with that trash, and then they weigh it when you leave after you deposit it. The net result is the tonnage, right, that you deposited in the landfill. So that tipping fee is a per ton charge that they charge you to deposit and bury that waste in the landfill. And so that's what a tipping fee is. And that's how they make money. That's exactly how they make money.
So if it's a lot of information to take in. So if you could give us like a summary closing statement from what we've talked about, if you just saw someone walking around the square, or if you were out at a restaurant and someone said, "So what's up with this transfer station?" What would you want to say to them?
Well, first off, I'd say it's about time. We've been working hard at coming up with and searching for solutions for years now. Their information has been brought before the commission, brought before county government. We have capable and intelligent people that have been focused on this for years that have made this decision that I believe is the right decision for Rutherford County. I say, as these processes go forward, please reach out to my office, reach out to the mayor's office if you have any questions. We want the public to know what we're doing here. Transparency is a huge thing with both of us and with everyone in Rutherford County government. And we want to be able to share as much information as we can with the public so that they grow with us as we grow into this new way of dealing with solid waste in Rutherford County.
Mayor Carr?
Yeah, if I could add to that, the county commission and the mayor's office are really excited about tackling this problem. And the reason is this problem is certainly the most urgent one that we have because of the potential for a crisis in the next 2.5 years. We don't need trash in the streets. That is not a tenable situation at all. And so we're very aggressively, Bishop, myself, and the county commission are seeking to resolve this problem so it doesn't become a crisis. Having said that, in my earlier remarks, I talked about how this was the most urgent need that we have, but it's not the biggest need. The biggest need we have as a community is the growth that we're experiencing year over year. The landfill is but a symptom of that growth, and we've got people from all over the country wanting to move here because of our values, our principles, our ideas, the vision, the growth, the education, the economic activity. There are a number of reasons, or all of these reasons, why people are moving here from California, Oregon, New York, Illinois, New Jersey, all over the place. So Rutherford County is a destination point. And so it's incumbent on us, for those people who are coming here for a while, to illustrate how we solve problems of this magnitude. Because being the state's largest landfill operator, the home for the largest landfill operator, is not something that I'm particularly proud of, and especially when it's been managed the way it has. And so what we're going to do is we're going to solve this problem, and we're going to solve this problem within the context of saying being the home for the largest landfill in the state is not a part of the vision of who this community wants to be. So we're going to solve it, and we're going to solve it along with the other problems that we have and the challenges that we have to illustrate that it's not the problems or the challenges that we have that is most daunting, but it's not squandering the opportunities we have. And this is an opportunity for us to do something no other county has done in the state, and that's to deal responsibly, environmentally, and proactively in a very economically friendly way with its waste stream. And that's what we're going to do.
We learned a lot today about solid waste management. Thank you for joining us.